It was supposed to be a gift. A sweet, harmless present. When John and Mia Gordon found the porcelain doll in a small vintage shop on the edge of Danvers, Massachusetts, it felt like fate. The shop owner, an old woman with cloudy eyes and a voice that trembled like static, had said only one thing before they left. "She doesn't like to be ignored." John laughed it off. Mia didn't. But she smiled anyway, tucking the doll under her arm like a child, not realizing she had just invited something dark into their home. That night, the air felt heavier. Their cat hissed at the doll. And when Mia placed Annabelle on a shelf in the nursery, she swore she saw its head turn just slightly toward her. By morning, the doll had moved. It sat neatly in the rocking chair across the room, its cracked smile pointed directly at the crib. No one admitted to touching it. At first, they thought it was exhaustion, new house, baby on the way, nerves. But when the nursery door slammed shut by itself and a soft giggle echoed from behind it, John froze. Because the sound wasn't the giggle of a baby. It was something older. Something that knew them. Mia tried to ignore the strange things that began happening in the house, the faint knocks at 3:07 a.m., the way the rocking chair swayed on its own, and the cold, syrupy air that seemed to cling to her skin whenever she entered the nursery. John brushed it off. Old house. Drafts. "You're just tired," he said with a comforting smile, but even he had started to look over his shoulder more than usual. Then came the first real incident. It was a Wednesday. The sky outside was bruised with thunderclouds, and rain lashed against the windows like desperate fingers. Mia was cleaning the nursery when she noticed something unusual. Annabelle was gone. The shelf where she always sat was empty. The rocking chair across the room was motionless. "Mia?" John's voice echoed faintly from the hallway. "I'm in here," she called back, her heart pounding. When she turned around, the doll was sitting right in the middle of the crib. Mia froze. She hadn't heard a sound, not a footstep, not a creak. But Annabelle's porcelain face gleamed in the dim light, her glass eyes fixed upward toward the mobile of stars spinning above her. A slow tick-tick-tick filled the room, like the sound of fingernails tapping wood. "Mia, you okay?" John asked, appearing at the doorway. She didn't answer. She just pointed. John sighed and shook his head, grabbing the doll. "You've been watching too many horror movies," he muttered and shoved Annabelle back onto the shelf. But as he did, the lights flickered once, twice, and then went out completely. The room was swallowed by blackness. From the darkness came a whisper. It wasn't English. It wasn't even human. It was low, broken, like a radio caught between stations. John felt something cold brush against his hand. Something small, like a child's fingers. And then, the doll laughed. It wasn't loud. It wasn't playful. It was mocking. When the lights flickered back on, Annabelle was lying face up on the floor, but her painted smile had changed. It was wider. Too wide. After that night, neither of them slept much. Mia started keeping the doll locked inside a wooden box in the closet. But every morning, the box was open and Annabelle was back in the crib, sitting perfectly upright. She began hearing voices when John was at work, faint murmurs behind the walls, soft crying from the baby's room even though their daughter hadn't been born yet. Sometimes, she'd wake up to find children's drawings scattered on the floor, drawn in crayon, stick figures, a woman, a crib, and a doll with red eyes. By the third week, the house smelled of burnt wood and old perfume. John called an electrician, a plumber, anyone who could explain the strange occurrences. But no one could. One night, out of desperation, he called a priest. Father Bennett, a calm, gentle man in his 60s, came by with a small wooden cross and a quiet seriousness in his eyes. He walked through the house, sprinkling holy water, murmuring prayers. When he entered the nursery, he stopped cold. "Where's the doll?" he asked. Mia pointed to the closet. Father Bennett opened it and found it empty. Before anyone could react, a thud echoed from behind them. The rocking chair began to move, slow at first, then faster. Annabelle sat in it, her head tilted, her painted eyes glinting. Father Bennett raised his cross. "In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit." He didn't finish. The lights burst, glass raining from the ceiling. The nursery door slammed shut on its own, and a scream raw, inhuman, filled the air. Mia clutched her ears. John pulled her to the floor. Father Bennett shouted prayers louder, his voice trembling as shadows slithered across the walls like ink. Then silence. When they opened their eyes, the rocking chair had stopped. The doll was gone. But on the wall behind the crib, written in something dark and sticky, were 3 words. She wants out. After that night, the couple decided to move. They packed their things, avoiding the nursery altogether. On the final day, Mia went in one last time to grab a box of clothes. She swore she wouldn't look at the doll. She swore she wouldn't even think about it. But as she lifted the box, she heard a soft creak. The rocking chair was moving again. Her breath caught in her throat. She slowly turned, and there she was. Annabelle. Sitting perfectly still. Her dress stained, her porcelain face cracked in 2. Mia's phone buzzed in her pocket. It was a message, no number. Just 3 words. Don't leave me. She dropped the phone. The nursery door slammed shut. The windows fogged with cold, and through the mist, a shape appeared. A woman, her face pale and bloodless, her eyes hollow, holding a small doll in her arms. Mia. The voice came from right behind her. She spun around, but there was no one there. Just Annabelle, now lying on the floor, her head turned completely backward. Mia screamed. John burst in, grabbed her by the arm, and pulled her out. "We're leaving now," he shouted. They didn't look back. They didn't pack the rest. They left everything, even the doll. When Ed and Lorraine Warren finally took Annabelle, the doll was sealed inside a blessed glass case. The priest warned, never touch her. Never pray in front of her. For years, she sat silently in the Warren Museum. Until one night, a guard heard a faint tap from inside the case, 3 slow knocks. The lights flickered. The glass fogged from within. And in the reflection, he saw her smiling, wider than before. The next morning, the case was empty. Only a note remained, written in red. "Did you miss me?